Hello everyone. I made a list out of the best and most interesting rare and common cards I could find. So let's start with the spells. Forbidden Chalice is the best one in my opinion right now. Works great against many decks, very versatile. I recommend crafting 3, you can put it in nearly every deck. It's a great staple. Book of Moon is a nice card. Can also be played in most decks, another staple. Dimensional Fissure is a nice anti-card. Banishes the opponent's monsters. Every monster sent to the grave is banished instead. This one is more of a card for certain decks or just for fun. Deal a lot of damage. Interesting quick play spell. Duel Links players might know this card. There aren't a lot of cheap spells sadly. There are a lot more traps though. Torrential Tribute is only rare. Trap Holes. Classic bottomless trap hole, or if you don't play any other spells, any other traps, if it is the only trap in your deck, treacherous trap hole. Void trap hole. If they summon one with 2000 or more, it can negate the effect and destroy it. Effect negation is nice. Another one that can negate an effect of a special summoned only, but no matter the stats, is Trap Hole Nightmare. Another trap hole, Time Space Trap Hole, shuffles it into the deck, but only if they special summon it from the hand or extra deck. Another classic compulsory evacuation device. It's only rare. Needle Sealing. Phoenix Wing Wind Blast. Versatile card. Another trap hole I missed. Floodgate Trap Hole. Lost Wind is a great card. Another effect negation. Also, if your opponent special summons a monster from the extra deck while this card is in your graveyard, you can set this card again, but banish it when it leaves the field, so you can use it twice basically. Network Trap Hole works only if they summon it from the main deck or graveyard, so only against specific decks. It has the upside, it banishes it face down. Divine Wrath, another old but good card. Negates a monster effect of any monster. And not just on the field, anywhere. Black Horn of Heaven. When your opponent would special summon exactly one monster, negate the special summon. Keep in mind it cannot negate cards or effects that summon a monster, only summons itself. I mean, it can only negate a summon itself, not another card that summons something. But still a great card that can negate a special summon. This one works only against certain decks. It can negate a summon of a light or dark monster. Any light or dark monster, pay 2000 life points, negate the summon, and if you do, banish it. So great against light and dark, useless otherwise. Most Paleozoic cards are rare and commons only. Deinonychus is the best one. Discard one card, target one face-up card, discard one card, banish it. Also, if you activate a trap, it can special summon itself as a normal monster. You can also play other Paleozoic cards. For example, there's one similar to Book of Moon and some others. They work well together. This is the best one. Then there are some more effect negating cards. Memory loss. When an effect of an attack position monster your opponent controls is activated, so most effects on the field are activated in attack position. Effects in defense position are rather rare, so this can negate most effects on the field. Phantom Knight's Forkblade. You can also play this outside of Phantom Knights. Targeting one effect monster on the field, negated face-up monster's effects. Also, the face-up monster cannot attack, so they can't attack either. The drawback is you can't attack it yourself. It cannot be targeted for attacks. So you can't attack that monster, but it can't attack either. And its effects get negated. It also has a second effect, but that works only with Phantom Knights cards. So if you just want to stall, this helps you survive in stall decks, for example, because it prevents them from attacking. Similar is Fiendish Chain. Fiendish Chain doesn't have the drawback of not letting you attack, you still can attack it afterwards. Then this is more of a gimmick, a fun card. So the first effect works only with non-effect monsters. So that's normal monsters, but also, for example, extra deck monsters with no effect. Or, for example, the Paleozoics, if they resummon them from the grave, they are also considered normal monsters or non-effect monsters. So this also works with Paleozoics. And if you have a non-effect monster on the field, this can negate spell, trap or monster effect. So pretty much anything. Or if this set card you control is destroyed, you can special summon one non-effect monster from your extra deck. So if you just set this and it gets destroyed, you can special summon, for example, this is the strongest one, blue as Ultimate Dragon from your extra deck. That's why this is here. Pretty fun if you can pull it off. If your opponent falls for your trap, then trap monsters are interesting. This is the best rare or normal one. It's only a normal. Dual Links players might also know this one. Can special summon itself as a level 7 with 2500 defense. Cannot be targeted by opponent's card effects while you control another trap monster. And on top of that, and that's the best part, if a card is special summoned from your spell and trap zone to the monster zone while this card is a monster, you can target one card on the field, destroy it. So if you play a deck of trap monsters, most of the time you can destroy multiple cards with this effect. There are also some other rare and common trap monsters, so trap monsters are something to look into. I think those were all the traps. Oh, I have another one. In stall decks you just want to survive, Waboku is only normal rarity. You take no battle damage this turn. Also your monsters cannot be destroyed by battle, so a great stall card. Played in pretty much all stall decks. I think those were all traps. Let's go to the monsters then. Many Time Lords are only rare and normal rarity. The three most interesting, in my opinion, are Metaion, Daisyon and Zephion. All Time Lords have the same first part effect. They cannot be special summoned from the deck. If you control no monsters, you can normal summon this card without tributing. Cannot be destroyed by battle or card effects. You take no battle damage from attacks involving this attack position card. Then they have a unique effect at the end of the battle phase effect, and then again the same. Once per turn during your standby phase, every Time Lord gets shuffled back into the deck. So basically you summon one if you don't control any monsters, then you attack and use their unique effect. Then they protect you during the opponent's turn, cannot be destroyed by battle or card effects, but in the standby phase they go back into the deck. So the unique effect of Metaion is, at the end of the battle phase, if this card battled, return as many monsters on the field as possible to the hand other than this card, and if you do, inflict 300 damage to your opponent for each card returned. So let's say your opponent has one Link and one Exceed, or any other combination of two extra deck monsters. This will return both to the deck and deal 600 damage. It's a situational card, but every Time Lord is situational, but in the right situation they can be extremely powerful. Daisyon is great against grave dependent decks to clear the graveyard, because its effect is, at the end of the battle phase, if this card battled, shuffle all cards from your opponent's graveyard into the deck. That's why I picked this one. Shuffle all cards from your opponent's graveyard into the deck. On top of that, but that's not why I picked it. If your opponent draws a card once per turn, inflict 1000 damage. And the third Time Lord I picked, Zephion. I picked because of this effect. At the end of the battle phase, if this card battled, shuffle all spells and traps your opponent controls into the deck. Imagine pulling this off against Eldritch. That must feel great. If they don't have Skill Drain, of course. but great against spell and trap dependent decks. Just shuffles all of them back into the deck. Then another archetype that can be played in most decks as tech are Kaijus, Yugioh, and Gadaria, or Gadala, not R. Yeah, it's an L. Yugioh and Gadala are only rarity, not rare common tape. What am I saying? So those two are rares only. You can tribute your opponent's monsters. World Legacy has some useful cards that can be used in other decks. World Crown. You can special summon this card in defense position to a zone a link monster points to once per turn. And the best part, when a monster on the field that was special summoned from the extra deck activates its effect, quick effect, you can tribute this card, negate the activation, and if you do, destroy it. And if it is tributed, but only if it was normal summoned. If this normal summon set card is tributed, you can add a World Legacy spell trap to your hand. But you played for this effect. When a monster on the field was special summoned from the extra deck, quick effect, you can tribute this card, negate the activation, and if you do, destroy it. That's why you play this. Another one that could be useful is World Lands. For this effect, during damage calculation, if a link monster battles a monster, quick effect, you can discard this card. The opponent's battling monster loses 3000 attack. That's a nice hand trap, basically. Similar to Honest or Kalut. It works with any link monster. Another card that works with link monsters is Parallel Exceed. If you link summon, you can special summon this card from your hand and then tribute it. So summon, not tribute it. If it is summoned, you can summon another one from your deck. So you get 2 of them, but they become level 4. So if you link summon, you can special summon this from your hand and then summon another one from your deck. The Danger archetype is another one that has multiple interesting rare and normal rarity cards. Best one in my opinion is Danger Thunderbird. So you can reveal this card in your hand, your opponent randomly chooses one card from your entire hand, then you discard the chosen card. If the discarded card was not Danger Thunderbird, so if they discard something else, you can special summon this card, and if you do, draw one card. So they discard a random card, you can special summon this and draw one card, and it is level 8, 2800 attack. In case they randomly discard this card, so itself it gets discarded, you can target one set card your opponent controls, destroy it. So if your opponent controls a set card and you reveal this, you either destroy the set card or you special summon it, discard one card, draw one card. That's the best of the dangers. That's rare or normal in my opinion. Can also be played in all sorts of decks. Tragödia is a versatile card. When you take battle damage, you can special summon this card from your hand. Gain 600 attack defense for each card in your hand. Once per turn, you can send one monster from your hand to the graveyard and target one face-up monster your opponent controls with the same level the sent monster had in the hand. Take control of that face-up monster. Once per turn, you can target one monster in your graveyard. This card's level becomes the same as the target's until the end of this turn. So very versatile card. Can be used in many ways. Grand Mole is a great card. Another great card at the start of the damage step. So before damage calculation, if this card battles an opponent's monster, you can return both the opponent's monster and this card to the hand. So basically it also cannot be destroyed by battle because this happens before the damage calculation. If your opponent has a big monster, for example a big extra deck monster, and you attack this, it sends it back to the extra deck, or if it's a normal monster, a normal effect monster, it sends it back to the hand, extra deck monsters back to the extra deck, and you get this card back to your hand too. So you can just summon it every turn and bounce something, an opponent's monster back to their hand or extra deck every turn if they don't destroy it with an effect. Can be extremely annoying. What else? Two hands, Ice Hand and Fire Hand. Those two belong together, so you have to play, if you play one, you have to play the other one too. They special summon each other from the deck and have a destruction effect. If Ice Hand is destroyed and sent to the graveyard, you can target one spell trap your opponent controls and destroy it, then special summon one Fire Hand from your deck. And if the Fire Hand gets destroyed, you can target one monster your opponent controls and special summon an Ice Hand from your deck. That also can be an annoying combo. Destroy a spell trap, summon Fire Hand, destroy a monster, summon another Ice Hand. That's a nice combo. Old players might remember Breaker, the Magical Warrior. If I have available normal summons, it's an interesting card, useful card. If this card is normal summon, place one spell counter, so you can make it gains 300 attack, so it is 1900. Or you can remove the spell counter, then target one spell trap on the field, destroy the target. So most of the time you use it for that effect. You normal summon it, remove the spell counter, destroy a spell trap on the field. And a card that works great with all level 4 normal summon monsters is Kage Tokage. Cannot be normal summoned, must first be special summoned by its own effect. When you normal summon a level 4 monster, you can special summon this card from your hand, cannot be used as a synchro material. So this is designed for Exceed Summon. For example, you normal summon any level 4 monster, for example let's take Breaker, you normal summon him, destroy the spell trap card, chain this to his summon, to special summon it, so you can exceed afterwards. So basically anytime you normal summon a level 4 monster, you can exceed with this. Duel Links players might remember this one, Battling Boxer Whale. When you take battle damage, you can special summon this card from your hand, and if you do, gain life points equal to the damage you took. So basically from that battle, if you survive it, you don't take any damage, you gain the equal amount back, and you can special summon this from your hand. If you do it during the last attack, you can start your turn with this on the field already. A similar card is Construction Train, Signal Red. When an opponent's monster declares an attack, you can special summon this card from your hand, and if you do, change the attack target to this card and proceed to damage calculation. And this card cannot be destroyed by that battle. So another card that prevents battle damage and can leave you with a monster on your field after the opponent's battle phase. Then some cards with interesting effects, not necessarily great ones, but interesting at least. Blood Pheasant can attack your opponent directly. When this card inflicts battle damage to your opponent by a direct attack, it can attack directly. Select one face-up monster on the field and remove it from play until the end phase of this turn. So basically you can either force a negation. If your opponent has a monster with a negation effect on the field, you can either force that negation or remove it until the end phase, so you can do your plays without them being able to negate it because it was removed until the end phase. And if it removes an exceed monster with materials, it loses its materials, it won't get its materials back. So it works even better against exceed monsters. Armored Bee, similar to Gale. Once per turn you can target one face-up monster your opponent controls, half that target's attack until the end phase. So it can destroy, run over most monsters by battle. 1600. So it can destroy everything by battle that has 3200 or less attack. For example, if the opponent has blue eyes with 3000 attack, this halves is to 1500. Can run over it. Great Beat Stick. Mech Knight archetype has some interesting rares and commons, but they usually have effects that require another Mech Knight, so you have to play multiple of them. I picked this one. You might be able to put into other decks if you just want to stall or survive, because it has 3000 defense. All you need to do to special summon is have 2 or more cards in the same column. So opponent's cards count 2. Just have to basically set a spell or trap in a column your opponent has a card in. Then you can special summon this card from your hand. Another type that has, or that basically is all rare and commons, are Star Seraphs. Oops, without S on the end, of course. Literally all Star Seraph cards are normal or rare only. So that's definitely something to look into if you want to play a cheap deck. Spectre is great. Sovereignty is great. So Star Seraph all normal and rare. Great engine. What else? I think only 2 are left now. Those 2. Sphere Kuribo is a normal. When an opponent's monster declares an attack, send this card from your hand to the graveyard, change the attacking monster to defense position. So basically a hand trap that prevents battle damage and changes a monster to defense position. Might help you defeat it by battle. Also it has an additional effect for ritual summons if you play rituals, but it's mostly played for the first part. And the last card I picked, Marshmallow, can be just annoying. It is played in most stall decks and in all burn decks, I think. Cannot be destroyed by battle, and if it was attacked and was face down, attacking player takes 1000 damage. So those were all 50 main deck cards I came up with. Let's go to the extra deck cards. I already mentioned the blue eyes that's played for this trap. Let's get to the synchros. This is a great level 5 synchro. Level 5, 2500 attack. And you can change all face up special sound monsters your opponent controls to defense positioned when it's summoned. And this is just played for its stats. Level 6, 2600. This is level 6, 2200. If it attacks the defense position monster, inflict piercing damage. You can banish one machine monster from a graveyard, inflict 500 damage to your opponent. This is the best part. If this card is in your graveyard and you control no cards, you can special summon this card. Apparently this even works multiple times. Cannot normal summon set. I mean not during the same turn, but multiple times during the duel. Doesn't get banished. You cannot normal summon set the turn you activate this effect. That's the best part. Then Stardust Charge Warrior. When this card is synchro summoned, you can draw one card. Also this card can attack all special summoned monsters your opponent controls once each. There's only 2000 attack though, but you played mostly further, you can draw one card effect. If your opponent has Link monster with less than 2000, it's great, for example. And this is again played for its stats. Level 7, 2700. Order is Meteor Burst 7, 2500. Can target one card in the Pendulum Zone if you play Pendulums, but it's mostly played for the second part. Monsters in your opponent's possession cannot activate their effects during the battle phase, that's why it's played. That's the best synchros I could find. Now to the exceeds. I focused on rank 4 exceeds because those will be the easiest to summon in most decks. This has the highest attack without any drawbacks. Rank 4, 2600. Papilio-Operative. You can detach one exceed material, target one defense position monster, change it to face up attack position. If your opponent plays defense position monsters, this effect will be rarely used nowadays, but it might still be useful against certain decks, and since it's an extra deck card. Flagship of Korn. Once per turn you can detach one exceed material, then target one face-up monster your opponent controls with attack less than or equal to this card, so less than or equal to 2100. And if you do, send it to the graveyard. So it does not destroy, so it can send destruction immune cards. Because it doesn't destroy, it sends it to the graveyard, and if you do inflict 1000 damage, this card cannot attack the turn. So this is great to get rid of any monster with equal or less than 2100. Crazy Box. If your opponent has Skill Drain, 3000 attack. Because it has the drawback, without Skill Drain usually it cannot attack. And it has some effects depending on a dice roll. You can roll a die, and apply some results. That's completely random basically, if you want to gamble, but it's usually played for Skill Drain, if your opponent has Skill Drain. This could potentially finish your opponent off. While you control a face-up spell, your opponent cannot target this card for attacks. Once per turn you can detach one material from this card. This turn this card can attack your opponent directly, but other monsters cannot attack. So this can finish your opponent off. Or for example, let's say your opponent plays some indestructible monster. Like I saw some people playing the Cook. Some people play this card with a material that makes it indestructible and stall with this. You can instead attack the opponent's life points directly with this to bypass such stall cards. Next, Ron Rhapsody in Berserk. This is a great card in the current meta, I think. I already used it in ranked duels. 2 level 4 monsters. You can detach one Exceed material from this card, then target one card in your opponent's graveyard, banish that target, and you can do it up to twice per turn. So you can detach 2 Exceed materials during the same turn and banish 2 cards from your opponent's graveyard. That can be extremely useful. Also has a second effect if you control another face-up Exceed monster. Basically after you used this card's affected materials, you can equip it to another Exceed monster you control and it gains 1200 attack. And you mostly play it for the effect of banishing cards from your opponent's graveyard. Another nice one, Diamond Crab. It's either used as beat stick or as defense, or you summon it during the first turn if you start the game. It's a good game opener, I think. So basically you summon it in defense position, it has 3000 defense, or if you want to use it as a beat stick, you can detach one Exceed material and switch attack and defense for this turn, so it gets 3000 attack, and at the end of the turn it changes back and switches to defense position. So you attack with 3000 attack, and then it changes to defense position and becomes 3000 defense. It has a drawback if you run out of materials. Where was it? Right, if it doesn't have any materials anymore and your opponent attacks it, at the end of the damage step it is changed to attack position, but only if it has no materials. So if you used up all its materials, your opponent just needs 2 monsters to destroy it, basically 2 attacks. But overall still a great card, 3000, basically 3000 attack, 3000 defense, as long as it has materials. And this can deal a lot of damage, can detach one material, usually target itself 99% of the time if you don't play other Garga monsters. So it targets itself, and then it can attack twice during each battle, during this battle phase. Can attack twice during the battle phase. And when another monster you control is targeted for an attack while this card is in attack position, you can change this card to face-up defense position and change the attack target to this card. Probably, maybe the best rank 4 that is normal or rare. It's number 70, Malevolent Sin, another card Duel Links players might remember. Once per turn you can detach one Exceed material, then target one monster your opponent controls, banish it until the opponent's next standby phase. Also, the second effect works without detaching. At the end of the damage step, if this card attacked, you can make this card gain 300 attack, and if you do, increase its rank by 3. So after it attacks, it goes from 2400 to 2700, and if it attacks another time to 3000 and so on. So the longer it stays on the field, the bigger it grows. Also there are some other insect Exceed monsters you can special summon on top of this by their effect, that can be summoned by overlaying them on this, but this is usually better. And now to the Link monsters. I am no expert on Link monsters, so I might be missing some, but these are the ones I found to be the best. Cross Sheep. This might only be useful in certain decks, but in those decks it's great. 2 monsters with different names. So can also use tokens, I think. And it points to 2 of your zones. If a monster is special summoned to a zone this card points to, you can apply the following effects in sequence based on the card types of the monsters this card points to. Then it has effects for Ritual, Fusion, Synchro and Exceed. Next one, Codebreaker, Virus, Swordsman. 2 effect monsters. Link 2. It's only 2 monsters, 2300. I mean 2 effect monsters, 2300. Also it has an effect when this card is special summoned if it is co-linked. Usually it's not about this effect, it's just about the stats, but if it is co-linked you can special summon Codebreaker 0 there from your hand, deck or graveyard to any zone Link monster points to. During the end phase, if this card is in the graveyard because it was destroyed while in your possession by an opponent's card and sent there this turn, you can special summon this card, but banish it when it leaves the field. So that's an effect you can use in any deck. If your opponent destroys it and it is sent to the grave basically once, you can special summon it because it gets banished afterwards. You can only use each effect once per turn. It's basically 2300 attack that can revive itself once. And this is very situational, but might be able to turn a game around. Points to opposing zones basically. Top right, bottom left. Opponent side, your side. 2 effect monsters. This linked card and monsters it points to cannot be destroyed by your opponent's card effects. If this card points to 2 monsters, you can switch control of those monsters. That's the part that's the most important. I did not try this card myself, but if you can summon this card in so that it points to a strong opponent's monster, and then can summon a weak monster yourself in this zone, this points to, you could switch control of those two only once per turn. So in certain situations this might be extremely powerful. Rarely it will probably work rarely, but if it works, I heard it's great. Also sounds great. And last but not least, Power Code Talker. Link 3. 3 monsters, but any monsters. Also tokens should work. Anything, basically. No restrictions on the monsters. Needs 3. 2300. Once per turn, you can target one face-up monster on the field, negate the target's effect until the end of this turn. That's great. Once per turn, if this card battles an opponent's monster during damage calculation, quick effect, you can tribute one monster this card points to. This card's attack becomes double its original attack during the damage calculation only. So if you manage to tribute something, it can become 4600. Not the first part, negating an effect is even better. So that was all of those cards. 70 cards in total. The best normal and rarity cards are most interesting I could find. Let me know if I missed something, if you know any other interesting or strong normal or rare cards, and have fun playing. Bye!